This afternoon is about conversations, definitions and stories. What started the new definitions in gender and gender studies as a definable area? There's something called the Human Genome Project. The Human Genome Project is mapping every single gene in a human being. And it's led to all sorts of weirdo discoveries, like there are male and female brains, but they might not be in the right male or female right body. That's how all this started. It's not just a couple of subversives who vote for Joe Biden over in America. There's actually deep science behind all this. And what has it done? You either look at that in a positive sense or a negative sense, don't you? You know, oh, my entire world is being attacked. Why? Why? Or, my God, we're learning something new about the mystery of being human. I find that very exciting. Stories. I'm a universalist. As a pastor, I'm a universalist. There's a long history behind that. Everyone will be saved. Universal truths about the universal condition. As a student of literature, I suppose the other caps I wear, not only literature but British theatre, I've always been interested in global text. There's no particular, there's no reason for that. It just happened. I've always been as interested in tales from Central Asia as much as I have Arthurian legend. I've had the chance to walk down the very street where Aladdin got into a fist fight when he was growing up as a boy. I've been to the mosque where the imams put the genie in the lamp that caused all the trouble when he was an adult. Stories, allegories, tales about the human condition that are only really understood, I suspect, if we have a universalist grasp. I normally hate things like that because it looks good on one level, but it's a lie on another level. Aren't we all free and equal and happy? No. That's called paradise. That's not called this earth. So as much as I love that, and that's an aim, it's not a reality. This is a man who influences me hugely. That is Parry. Parry is the great scholar of Kazakhstan. He was a nomad. They're all nomads over there. In the middle of nomad territory, he had people reading Goethe. He had people reading Shakespeare. All the nomads, the warriors of the steppes, would come to reading circles he organised and be studying the golden age of Russian novels. Wow. What interested them was the twin streams. What makes us the same and what makes us different. That is exciting. We put the new LGBTQI+, I can't remember how many letters there are there, flag behind that for one simple reason. He was a traditionalist, but not the prisoner of tradition. He would have loved this afternoon's revolutionary talks. What does it all mean? Where are we going? What does it mean? What does it imply? That short, fat gentleman was a giant of global literary history. I'm often compared to that fat bugger. That is G.K. Chesterton. I keep being compared to him. I don't know why, but I've got a good idea. That is a man who's very British, who was roughly doing the same thing. Let's look at what the past is. Let's look at what the past is saying. He actually converted to Roman Catholicism at the end, trying to get more deeply into the mystery of religion. His books are extraordinary in the fact they're putting out feelers, they're putting out messages, they're putting out arms and legs to try and understand what the differences are as much as the similarities. If Brexit had come up in his day, he'd have voted yes and no, because that's the sort of contrarian he actually was. A much more suitable example of what I'm talking about, Kirkegaard. Everybody thinks I'm this great Hegelian, thesis and antithesis and synthesis, and there's a truth to that. But actually the guy that got me at university was the gloomy Dane. He said a number of things that you need to take a few steps back if you're thinking about them. Number one, the majority is always wrong. Now there's a thought. Second, there's more goodness in the demonic man than there is in a trivial man. So look at the sort of guy you're dealing with. Not someone interested in the superficial, not someone interested in, let's all get together in that superficial way that certain people are encouraging today. Let's really get to know each other as we are, the mystery of the human condition. This is where his studies led him. The lowest level of human experience he called aesthetics. A better way of understanding that in the modern world is pleasure. Hey, what are you doing this evening? I'm going to a club. Oh yes, so am I. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But is that all you are? A bag of chemicals enjoying itself. Is that all you are? And if that's all you are, great. But maybe there's more to you than that. Maybe you're letting yourself down if you think that is all you are. Therefore, he started writing about ethics. That's one of those words that's demonized nowadays, which is a shame. What it means is, am I being understood and am I being respected for who I am? That's not a trivial message. The traditional societies of the West have been very heavy-handed over it, but they've not been entirely wrong. Whereas we're beginning to learn what other societies, say in Central Asia or India or Pakistan, what they've also said about it. But Kirkegaard said, oh, no, there's another level here. And it's called faith. He talked about the night, K-N-I-G-H-T, of faith. Maybe there's a God and maybe there's not. I mean, he would have said, personally, he thought there was. He was a devout Christian. But let's look at it for someone who doesn't think that. Maybe there's a God and maybe there's not. But is that the ultimate issue? Are you living your own life as though there is? As though there's a higher level to you, a higher dimension, something of supreme value, something that can't just be swept aside or cut away in a surgical operation. Is there something more to you than simply enjoying yourself, simply thinking, hey, I deserve a bit of respect, and leading to, hey, maybe I'm sort of a unique part of the universe, and that I need to know in my own life as well. Diversity. That's one of the big bugbears of the modern world. What does it mean? It doesn't mean equality. If you give everyone equality, then everybody's still at odds with everybody else. Diversity must mean understanding people for who they are and celebrating the differences. And we need faith in that if that enterprise is going to continue. I like Lil Nas X. I like him. I'm a pastor. I don't know what gives that away. I'm a pastor who's been asked to denounce Lil Nas X over the past couple of months, past couple of weeks particularly. I won't do it. Why? Lil Nas X is gay. Lil Nas X has been told he's evil most of his life because he's gay. If you keep telling people they're evil, some people will start to believe you and acting in that way. I find it very understandable what he's doing. He's angry, he's hurt, he's upset, and maybe we ought to be listening to those things more than a few theatrical moves in videos and contentious lyrics. Maybe there's a much deeper message to what he's doing there. I've got to smuggle in Busby Berkeley. Busby Berkeley's been on my mind all week along with this talk, because there are many ways of exploring the human condition. I think Busby Berkeley, who was one of the ultimate Hollywood choreographers, is worthy of study. He would have seen himself as the all-American kid, the all-American success story. He was behind some of the biggest shows on Broadway at that particular time. He does things like this. He always said there was no deeper significance. They are mandalas made of people. What he used to do, and he was a monster to work with apparently, You know, get off my stage! And he'd order them out. I mean, this is cinema, you know, that's deserving of cinema more than stage. He did both. He did Broadway primarily. What he used to do was get dancers coming together and making vast geometrical patterns. Officially, there was no deeper significance to what he was doing. He was asked repeatedly by various members of the New York elite press, what are you doing and why? There's obviously something going on there. And he said, oh no, I'm making entertainment, I'm making music, I'm making dance. But obviously there are other levels to this. On a deeper level, he's saying something very American. And America isn't always wrong. We all have our own stories to tell, but we're also part of a collective. Without those two elements in our lives, somehow something is weaker and somehow something is missing from our experience as human beings. What he was trying to do on an almost subliminal level is say, look, this is me, this is who I am. Each one of the dancers was encouraged to develop their own style within the collective dance. But they had to be part of the collective dance. That's the sort of message we need to look at today for our own society. Stories and conversations. What is so wrong in someone being different to you? I don't understand it. Why is that threatening? What is so wrong in people acting and behaving, provided they're not hurting anybody else, their neighbour? Nothing. So what I wanted to do today was, I suppose, round off with my own coming out story. I hardly ever share it. It's the modern predilection to share everything with everybody. I'm sorry, I'm 62. That's not my predilection. I still believe in something called a private life. That makes me very old-fashioned, I hear. I'm going to say that because don't judge others until you've seen what their reaction actually is. I mean, my next book will be about Sodom and Gomorrah. I've got a lot to say about that. But, you know, it taught me, my family taught me, be careful about who you judge and never judge, if that's possible. A Christian, I suspect, is judged by how much they love their enemies, not how much they love their friends. It's easy to love your friends and your family. Big deal. If someone's against you, are you acting in a human way? That's the biggie. My own experience didn't go according to plan. I had moved flat. My family were all Hampshire hogs, although my stepfather was actually Irish Catholic. My mum was originally from Kent, Garden of England, Kent. We all moved up here in the early 80s. There's a story there in itself. I am not the sort of person to lead a double life. When I realised, in those days a gay man was one of God's celibates. Oh, you can't be. Oh my God, I am. What do I do now? That was the sort of narrative in those days, a narrative amongst a meta-grand narrative about the way we lead our lives. So I'm not the sort of person, as I say, to lead a double life. I realised my sexuality and I thought, right, my family is honest country folk and there's only one way to deal with that, head on. So I decided to go down and tell my mother and my stepfather exactly who I was and what I was. I arrived, unfortunately, during the beginning of EastEnders, and I stood by my mother's chair and said, Mother, I've got something to tell you. Actually, I think I'm homosexual. And my stepdad, who had a little to drink, said, Joan, he's trying to tell us something. So, nowhere. So I decided to stand the other side of my mother's chair, staring my stepfather out. Mother, I'm gay. Is there a problem? Joan, he's trying to say something else. And I thought, right, this is getting nowhere. So I walked in front of the TV, switched, committing the cardinal sin, switching EastEnders off, which it was in those days. That was the ultimate reprise. I'm a screeching queen, and I don't care if you like it or not. And don't worry, I'm never going to darken this doorstep again. And I slammed the door behind me because no one else was interested in doing it. To which my stepfather then said, what did he say? So, right, I gave that up. I got a phone call an hour later. David, your stepfather says you're gay. We completely disapprove. but we're thinking of buying you this new TV, which might cheer you up a bit. Never judge. You don't know what the person next to you is going to say. You don't know if they hate you or not. If they do love them, don't hate them back. You don't know what their story is. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know how they've been challenged. So cut them some slack. Give them a bit of space and distance and respect. We all need some respect. And just lead your own life with your own truth and your own beauty and your own goodness, and pay other people that respect at the same time. That is really all I want to say today. Thank you for listening.